Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com, and as you can see, we've been doing some work on our 2005 Honda CRF450-R. Now today, we're going to be concentrating on what I call the bottom end. We're going to break it all the way down to the crankshaft and then build it all the way back up. Now to do this, we're using a combination of parts, either OEM or a kit that comes from Wiseco. Now let's step over to the table and take a look at what I chose to rebuild this particular motor. And what you see spread out on the table is far and away more than what we need to do the bottom end. This is actually part of a larger complete engine build, but today we're just focusing on the bottom end. And to do that, we've got a kit from Wiseco, and it's called a Garage Buddy. And inside of this kit, they include what you need to do the bottom end, such as the crankshaft, all your different seals, the bearings, the gaskets, the O-rings, everything, even a timing chain comes in this box, and that is what we're going to be focused on today. Well, now that we've got all our parts assembled, let's step over and start taking this thing apart. So we have a pretty clear indication of where we're heading for the top end. Now let's go ahead and turn our attention to the bottom end, because we are diving all the way down into the crankshaft. Before we pull it down, I just want to take a peek. Oh boy. Yes, this one needs a new crankshaft in it. You should be able to pick up on that. That's well over 1/8 of an inch side to side play. It's supposed to have a little bit, not that much. So this is a good candidate for a Garage Buddy kit, no doubt. Now as far as the side to side, I can definitely feel it, but on the vertical, yeah, it's even got it on the vertical. So this bearing was getting ready to go. So we caught it before something catastrophic was coming its way. So this is definitely going to be worth the time and energy. So our plan of attack now, let's go after the clutch, get it pulled apart, then we'll work with our water pump, go in and get our stator cover off, get all of those out of the way, the output shaft gear and the cover, etc., etc. Take out probably a dozen or so bolts, and then we're going to split the cases and just take out the transmission as hopefully a cluster and be able to lay it together. That way we can evaluate it, make sure we don't need to replace a shift fork or shift drum, and all the gears look at least acceptable. So let's go for the clutch first. Now we have on this outer cover is just 6 8mm bolts. We will not be building it back with a stock clutch. We're going to be using a kit from Wiseco, but that will be in a separate video. So next, we're going to get these 6 10mm bolts out, and if you were going to reuse your clutch, you want to let them out a little bit at a time to bring it out evenly. Otherwise, if it brings it out cockeyed, you run the risk of damaging that basket. I'm pretty sure I went in here, over-torqued those, because I think they're only supposed to have like 8 foot-pounds or something like that. And I guarantee you I'm putting a lot more effort than 8 foot-pounds into removing them. A good torque wrench is important, guys and girls. Okay, let's start pulling this apart. Oh, you almost came out of the stack. Hey, I think it might. Heck yeah. I love it when that happens. It never does. Somebody had been through this engine recently. I mean, that is all but new. There's almost nowhere, no scoring, no anything. And when you're doing this, make notes and lay everything out as it comes apart, because it's going to be really easy to make a mistake when it goes back together if you're putting your stock one back together. Next, we're going to get a chisel and open up those stakes on either side, And then I'll probably just bring over an air ratchet and we'll buzz that nut off. I'm not using anything really special here, just a chisel, because all we're trying to do is just open up these two areas that are folded over on the edges of the nut itself. Once you get them to split open a little bit, then you can kind of rock it out to the side and maybe turn it at a 45-degree angle to catch it like this, and then bend it the rest of the way back. Yeah, if you look real close, you can see where it's got a few marks on it. Yeah, somebody's definitely been in here. And on that note, now that I know somebody's been this far into the engine, I told you to take notice how everything is coming apart. It would also be a good idea to go back to Partzilla.com, bring this engine up, that way you've got access to the exploded parts diagrams. Because as I learned on our YXZ-1000R, they made a couple of mistakes when they went into the transmission, and I would not have caught them unless I'd gone back and looked at the diagrams very carefully. All right, so you're going to have your nut, then a washer, and then this locking washer as well. There was one plate left behind. Get that out. Now, to get our basket out, you actually have to remove the crankcase cover. So let's go ahead and get that water pump out of the way, buzz off these other 8mm bolts, get that cover off, then we can get the basket out of there. I can still see some radiator fluid in there, so we're going to go ahead and preemptively put a paper towel under there to catch it. Once again, as you're doing this, keep everything grouped together. It makes life a lot simpler when it comes time to put it all back together. Let's go ahead and get off that water pump impeller. Just a 10mm socket. Now, we've got 11 more to take off. Do take note there's a little hose stay on the back. In retrospect, I probably could have left that outer cover on. Just pulled it off altogether. The only reason they give you this cover is just to go in and replace the actual clutch plates and not the rear basket. You've got a couple of points to where you can break it apart. It's that little edge right there. I think it either has 2 or 3 dowels. I know at least 2. When you're doing this, resist the temptation to put a screwdriver in there and just pry it out. So you don't want to damage that surface, end up with a leak. Yeah, 2 dowels. And do take note of that O-ring right there, very important. It goes around here. We can get out our clutch basket and bearing. Starting to get interesting now, huh, guys? Let's go ahead and bring out our starter intermediate gear. And our spring, return spring. Now to get the spring off the easy way, there's a split collar that will actually come off first. Then that gives you enough room to lift up the spring and bring it out. Now, looking good so far. We're going to pause on this side for a moment, go to the other side, and take care of the stator, the rotor, our output shaft sprocket, etc. Then we'll come back, get our shifting mechanism out of the way. And these are just going to be 8mm heads, except for the bottom one, which of course is your drain, which is a 10. This engine did not have many hours on it after somebody had gone through it. But it was all that scoring that I saw on the cylinder. That just wasn't right. It shouldn't look like that. Not with so few hours, I'm betting. But the good part is this kit has an hour meter with it, so we will know going forward how many hours we've got on this machine. But on a higher performance motocross bike, you pretty much do it by race. I mean, 4 to 6 races, you need to go in and change your oil and probably put in another set of rings that we used to back in the old days. I can remember replacing rings in my YZ125 at the track. I mean, it was a 2-stroke. I could do it in like 15 minutes if I was coasting. Okay, let's find our prop points. There's one here, there, and there. Oh yeah, easy. Off she comes. That is such a tiny stator. Well, let's face it, it's not like this thing's running lights or sound systems or anything else. Pretty much just has to deal with the ignition system, and that's it. Why put anything in there bigger than you need to have? Because with a race bike, it's all about saving weight. Let's go ahead and get this cover off and then the sprocket off, and then we'll deal with the rotor flywheel, whichever one you want to call it. I'm not sure what that was. It was something organic though. All right, let's see if we can hold this still and buzz it off. That was a 12 millimeter, by the way. So we've got our puller, and I'm using one from Honda. It's a satisfying sound. There it is. That kink does not want to come out. Makes me glad we're replacing the chain. Next, let's go ahead and get the tensioner guide out of the way. This is just a 10 millimeter, along with that oil pickup pipe. That oil pipe is an 8. At that point, we'll go ahead and flip it over and start taking out the shifting mechanism. Then we'll be getting really close to actually splitting the cases open. So now let's reach in here and get this circlip off. Then we can remove this drive gear for the oil pump. When you're removing the circlip, only open it just enough to get it off of there. Otherwise, you're going to stretch it out and then it won't hold it in place like it's supposed to. Don't lose this little pin. Now we can get down to that other 8 millimeter and get the old pickup tube out of it. All right. I believe that's going through an O-ring. Yep. Good to go. I think that's going to do it for this side until we come back and get all these bolts out. What we're going to attack first is this nut, which is, of course, the drive gear off of your crankshaft. Then you've got this intermediate gear where we have to have the special tool for it. But to get this bolt off, we're actually going to temporarily reinstall our clutch basket. That way we can use this little gear holder, put it in place, and that'll give it a more substantial area to hold against so we can break that bolt loose. You don't need to attach the bolt on this, just lay it in place. Our gear holder is in place. I think that'll do. And now this is going to be a 14 millimeter. And there's a reason they want you to use this larger gear, is because this bolt has 80 foot-pounds on it. And I'm not quite strong enough to hold it still to break it loose. So I'm going to use impact to go ahead and break that thing loose. Now don't remove it yet because we need it to hold this gear still to get off this particular nut that's holding on the counterbalance. Now this one only has 33 foot-pounds. Here's where our special tool is going to come into play. There we go. Now we can go ahead and take both of these off. Right. Now take note right here when we go to put it back together, that dot on the end of the crankshaft goes into this channel, and then that dot will line up with that one. So next, let's get our shifting mechanism, our detent, pulled apart. Looks like we've got our shifting arm, which goes all the way through the cases. Just lift it straight out and don't lose your washer. Looks like two 10 millimeters. That'll come off the end of the shift drum. Weird little setup they've got here. Okay, now we can get down to that lower nut and get that off the end of the shift drum. I'll tell you what, we can go ahead and pull the detent first. Just a 10 millimeter bolt. It's a tricky little thing to get back together, but we'll get it. There we go. Now we can get to it. We're just going to rotate it all the way back. Boy, that's a lot of tension. Ah, red Loctite, should have guessed. Guess they don't want that jumping out. We're done on this side. Now we can flip it over, start removing some bolts, and then get these two separated. Let's go and get our counterbalancer out, or the other half of it rather. Now we can start pulling some bolts. Now take note, there's a copper washer behind this one, and that needs to go back in the same place when we go to reassemble this. We'll start with that one. Second one with a copper washer is up top at the back of the cylinder. Don't miss this little guy. And I'm taking these off in order, or taking these off as I go around and just lay them in order. Makes it easier when we go to put it back together. Another copper washer down here. Pretty sure we need to pull this drain bolt for the transmission. All right, guys and girls, I think that is it. So it is time to separate these two. And we want to separate it from the right side. Let's see if we can get it to tap apart. There we go. Sounds a little bit different when it finally separates. I should have another place where I can hit. Going after that guy. And everything is starting to open it up, except for right here. I'm perplexed. Alright guys, at this point it should fairly easily tap off, and that'd be great if it was brand new, but it is not brand new anymore. There is a dowel up front, a large one, that I think is corroded in place. What we're going to do is bring out a case splitter like you would use on a two-stroke, and we're going to see if we can attach it to this and get it to separate, because I really don't want to pry into the case, because if I do that, I risk damaging that surface, and then it's going to have an oil leak. So let's get a case separating tool from Motion Pro, see if I can get it to attach to this, and then see if we can get it to pull apart. Sometimes you have to improvise a little bit. 3 good pull points. So the back is starting to separate, but up at the front, it does not want to let go. So this will be a little bit of a weird setup, but this is the area that's holding back the most. I think we can do it like this. Neat little tool. Look at that. Look how hard it's holding up top. There's so much tension on there. And I don't want to pull there, but we can go for that one though. Let's try that. We're going to get this eventually. Unreal. I've had some tough cases before, no pun intended, but I think this is the new leader. It's just a lot of rust and corrosion. There's nothing else holding it except that dowel. No, you shouldn't have to do all this, if you're wondering. No. What I'm having to do here, guys, is very unorthodox, but I'm trying to do it as just gently as possible. You'll see what I'm up against here in a few minutes. I'm trying to stay away from the sealing areas and minimize how much damage I'm doing to the surfaces. But I don't see any other way to do this. It's almost free. Good grief. It's one for the record books here, guys. And I hated having to do what I did there because I've opened myself up to a potential leak even though this has a gasket. But when we go to put it back together, we're going to use some gasket maker or sealer from 3Bond just to make sure it doesn't leak up there. Because once I separate this, you'll see just how corroded that dowel was in that front area. And I really hope you didn't have to go through what I just did, because I was afraid we were about to buy a set of cases, but I think we've got it now. Now, is there any way to prevent this from happening? No. It's just one of the things you have to be prepared to fight against with an older machine. That's what we were fighting with. That was completely corroded in there. Whew, fun stuff, guys, fun stuff. Now, what I'm about to do next is pull the transmission out. Let's start by getting our shift forks out. There we go. Not a lot of clearance to get around the shift forks. There we go. Now, see if we can reach in and grab all of it. All but one. All right, guys, now that we've got that pulled out, I just wanted to go back and look where I was having to pry against it so hard. And it looks like I'm going to be okay. I mean, the surface, I didn't have to damage it too much, and it's toward the front of the engine. So I don't think we're going to have a problem. Like I said earlier, I just hope you didn't have to go through that much trouble to get yours to separate. I'm just going to give this one a gentle tap, see if she wants to pop out. Yeah. Get our oil pump. Well, all right, guys, there you go. Taken apart all the way down to the crankshaft. So what's going to happen next? Well, I'm going to have to spend a fair amount of time getting this thing cleaned back up. And at that point, we'll start another video and we'll get these old bearings pressed out and the new ones pressed in along with the seals and start on that kit from Wiseco and getting the crankshaft back in. Well, listen, if you have any questions or comments, why don't you leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. And hey, if you like what you see and you want to see me continue, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you can keep up with whatever I'm working on next. We just want to say thank you for shopping here with us at Partzilla, and we will see you in the next video. Y'all have a great day.